Welcome to this episode of Heffron on History. Today we're going to talk about a rather interesting topic. The caning of Charles Sumner. How far are people willing to go to push their opinions on the spread of slavery across the United States? This story will show you just how far people are willing to go. Next on Heffron on History. Well, this is a really interesting story in American history, the caning of Charles Sumner. Charles Sumner is a very much outspoken abolitionist. He is unapologetic about it. He wants to get rid of slavery all across the country, right? And once the events of Bleeding Kansas happen, this is when Kansas has two constitutions, when folks in Kansas start to kill each other over whether slavery should expand. Charles Sumner starts to give some speeches on the Senate floor, and he is unapologetic about it, and he is naming names. And he is going to cause a lot of problems, right? The day is May 21st, 1856. Border ruffians from Missouri and abolitionists from New England converge on Missouri, trying to influence the politics of the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850, and they are trying to influence the spread of slavery to the West. On this date, it's is known as Bleeding Kansas, because on this date they start killing each other. The folks in the North see this as slavery being shoved down the throats of folks who don't want slavery. There's a political cartoon that expresses this wonderfully. Should the folks who live in Missouri be forced to have slavery, whether they want it or not? They are the folks that should be deciding, right? This is popular sovereignty. If you live there, you should decide. You shouldn't have to depend on folks coming from other parts of the country to tell you what to do. So the very next day, it is May 22nd, 1856, and Senator Charles Sumner, an outspoken abolitionist, is on the floor of the Senate, and he's giving a very passionate speech about getting rid of slavery and how horrible this Bleeding Kansas incident was, shoving slavery down the throats of the folks who live in Kansas. Should that be allowed? Should that not be allowed? Folks are killing each other in Kansas now. Bleeding Kansas, right? And he's going to name some names in his speech. He's going to name Senator Andrew Butler, an outspoken pro-slavery senator. And he's going to insult the man. And insults back in the day were not a good thing. It was pretty common, if you were insulting somebody's character, that you would be involved in a duel. And this is the kind of thing that happens back in the day, right? But there's an interesting twist to this story. Andrew Butler's cousin is Representative Preston Brooks. Word gets to the House of Representatives chamber that his cousin was just insulted by Charles Sumner. Well, you know, that's just not going to happen. So he waits for the right time, right? And he walks into the Senate chamber when Charles Sumner is finally stopped talking and is just sitting there quietly, and he takes his cane, much like this one. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is a brass finial on a wooden cane, so very much like this. And he takes his cane and he starts beating the snot out of Charles Sumner on the Senate floor. Hit him 25 or 30 times. Broke his cane. Charles Sumner is knocked unconscious, bleeding profusely from the head. They eventually are going to haul Preston Brooks out of the Senate chamber, and there are big consequences for this incident, but not probably what you would expect there to be. All right, so the consequences of the caning of Charles Sumner. Number one, Charles Sumner is incapacitated for several years. It's going to take him a long time to recover from this. The man's going to have some brain damage. They are going to leave his seat open, right? They are not going to replace Senator Charles Sumner. They're going to leave his seat on the Senate floor open as a visual reminder of what this man went through, right? So he's eventually going to be, he's going to recover, and he's going to get back to the Senate, and he's going to be a very outspoken, radical Republican. Preston Brooks has a little bit more interesting story. First of all, he broke his cane. The poor guy broke his cane. And several folks from all over the South sent him replacement canes. So are the folks in the South upset about this? No, they are cheering this on. So much so that they send him some new canes. The man is fined $300. You almost kill a guy on the Senate floor. My gosh, you are a representative of the people of the United States of America. And the only punishment is a $300 fine. Preston Brooks is going to die about a year later. But there's a big consequence that has a local connection. So I live in Spring Hill, Florida. This is in the Hernando County School District. I have spent my entire teaching career in Pasco and Hernando counties, and this story, the caning of Charles Sumner, has a local connection. Folks all over the South are so happy with this incident, they send new canes to Charles Sumner, but the folks around here had an even bigger way to appreciate and thank Preston Brooks for what he did. There's a town very near here called Pierceville. And Pierceville and Melendez, two neighboring communities, are merging together, right? And when trying to figure out what to name their new community, they decided, you know what we should do? We should honor Preston Brooks by naming our community after him. And thus, the city of Brooksville was created, named after Preston Brooks, Brooksville, Florida. Until next time, Heffron on History.